Hi, unfortunately I hurt my knee yesterday, so I'm not able to complete the project I had planned for this week because it still involves lifting some stuff up and down. However, last week we did happen to buy a new bandsaw, which I'll do a review of down the track once I've had some time to use it. What I do want to do for the bandsaw though is a simple circle turning jig, so we're going to get started on that now.
I cut down a small section of an offcut of 18mm plywood to be a little bit longer than my bandsaw table. I then cut a slot on the bandsaw so that the edge of the plywood lined up with the front of the table. The positioning across the table was arbitrary, but having it cut through the ply rather than butting up against the blade gives it a nice zero clearance plate thing. I then needed to make a runner for the sled, so I cut down an offcut of blackwood to thickness, a little under 10mm, and then to width. I didn't get the width correct on the first shot, so I nudged the fence over and did a second cut. With some washers in the miter slot to raise the runner up to be flush, I placed the runner, then the sled base on, and extended some lines down the table to match the runner. This was so I knew where I could safely pre-drill for screws so I wouldn't crack the runners down the track. I then put a thin bead of glue down the runner and screwed it down to the sled. I drew lines perpendicular to the bandsaw blade so I knew where the track would go and attached 2 more screws, being sure to keep those lines clear. To provide the adjustable positioning, I'm using some aluminium T-track I bought, which I've long since forgotten what project it was for. I cut off about 300mm and filed the end so it was nice and smooth.
Before going too much further, I need to put the sled in its furthest position and mark on the underside of the table. And I'll put a block up there that'll butt up against the bandsaw table, and that'll prevent it from going further than it needs to. That way when I'm feeding it in, it'll have a nice positive stop. So now I need to cut a dado, preferably a stopped dado, in line with the front of the tooth of the blade to line up my T-track. Now ideally that'd be done on the router table, but as I've mentioned, my knee is injured and that's my router table up there. So I'm going to do through dados on the table saw. It just won't be as pretty.
I set my table saw blade to about 9.8mm as that's how thick the track is. Then it was just a matter of nibbling away the material using a crosscut sled and testing for fit.
It took a few goes, but I got the fit that I wanted, and this flows nice and smoothly back and forth, but there's very minimal play in it. Now you'll notice that this is upside down, and that is the direction I wanted in, because I'm going to use a nut that slots into there, a bolt that slots into there. I can tighten it from under the table to stop the whole track from moving. So to do that, I need to drill a hole through the base here that matches this diameter exactly, and then I can use a wing nut. Eventually I'll make a little handle for it, and I can just tighten that up. So the bolt's about 5.7 or something like that. I've got a 6mm drill bit loaded into the drill press. To make sure that this doesn't wobble, I've added the offcut of the track, and that'll support it while drilling.
For the pin, I'm using a metal pin out of a shelf pin. I just need to pull it out of the plastic. I drilled a slightly undersized hole into the T-track, then I could just pound the shelf pin in with a hammer. I cut a small amount of the excess runner material down to use as a positive stop on the user side of the sled.
Okay, now everything is dry. It's time to do the first cut. I've got this piece of, I think it's Dado, which we had a tree cut down a couple of years ago. I've got this set to about 75mm, which is about the largest radius I'll get out of this because of the piece. My guides are adjusted, so let's make that first cut.
So that came out really round. I'm really happy with the results. I didn't actually think it'd work that well. The results are going to be perfect, well not perfect, but very close to perfectly balanced blanks to stick on the lathe, and there'll be other projects that require a round disc of some sort that this will really help with. So cutting out a gear, for example, you can do the rough cut on something like this. I'll give this a coat of probably shellac or some sort of varnish just to protect the plywood. Makes it easier to clean, particularly from all the dust that this generates, and that'll also help keeping the track clean so that this can slide freely back and forth. One thing I haven't mentioned is that I've got a little piece of MDF in there which was cut and then pressed into place, which I thought I would need to help give it some backing, but honestly drilling that undersized hole and then punching the metal pin in seems to have given it enough strength. So this will be getting a lot of work out. We've got about half a tree's worth of blanks sitting there, mostly dry, that need to be cut into circles. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.